Hi, welcome to lesson 3.09. We're going to start solving rational equations now in real life situations or in context, and of course also interpreting our solutions as far as what they mean regarding that real world situation. So let's get started. Okay, I want you to go ahead and read the problem written here in white. Go ahead and copy it down. And once you've done so, you're going to answer these three questions. What are you trying to find? I want you to underline it and then write out what you're trying to find. And what represents that value in the equation? You want to circle, underline it, and explain it. 2, what are the two methods you could use to find the solution? So there's two different methods, and you might want to think back to what we did in semester 1, where we were solving systems of equations. Go back and take a look at your notes from that. And then lastly, why does this equation make sense? This is tricky, so spend maybe 5 to 10 minutes with this question and start thinking about how the values that are represented in this question can be transformed into this equation. Why should the left side be equal to the right side? Okay? So pause the video now, go ahead and read through that, and we'll discuss a little bit together. Okay, so starting off, we're trying to find how many minutes it would take Antoine to solve the problem by himself. So clearly, what we're looking for is to solve for t in our equation. That's what represents that particular value. Now, what are the two methods we could use? Well, one method that we've discussed is we could simply solve algebraically. We've done this already. In fact, this was one of the equations from our quiz. But there's another method. Remember when we solved systems of equations and we realized that all we were doing is looking for where one function is equal to the other function? In other words, where their graphs intersect? We could solve this graphically. And that's what we're going to start by doing. We know we can solve this algebraically, but now we want to be able to solve it graphically so we can quickly ascertain what maybe an estimate of the solution would be, or if there's going to be a solution at all. Now, why does this equation make sense? I'm not going to tell you right out in front because I want you to think about it for a little bit. But I'm going to give you a helpful hint. So in life, we have something that's called work, the amount of work that you get done. Well, how can you measure the amount of work that you get done? And we'll represent work with W. Well, the amount of work you get done is equal to how much you get done per minute or per hour or per second, which is called your rate, the rate at which you get things done, times the time that you work for. Okay? So if you think about this relationship here, that will help you understand and put together the pieces that make up this equation. So spend a little more time thinking about that. We'll discuss this more in class together. And then once you've thought about that a little more, go ahead and move on. Okay, so we want to come back to solving this graphically. So here's what you're going to do. We're going to take a look at the graph of this side of our equation. Think of this as the function f of x, and the graph of this equation. Think of that as the function g of x. Now, to graph these equations, you can go on your calculator and you can graph them, or you can go on a website called Wolfram Alpha. So if you go to Wolfram Alpha, what you can do is on Wolfram Alpha you can say, enter in the subject bar the word plot, or you can use the word graph. And then if you enter in the equation that you want to plot or graph, it will do that for you. So you could enter this first equation. Okay? Now, maybe you want to also graph the other equation. So all you'd have to do is make a comma and then enter in the next equation, which happens to be 1. Now, if you hit enter, Wolfram Alpha will sketch a graph of both of these equations on the same xy axis. So here's what you want to do. You want to go to Wolfram Alpha, you want to enter this command, and then you want to sketch on your notebook what the graph looks like with both of these functions graphed on it. And you want to see if you can determine from the graph what the solution for t should be. Once you've determined that solution, you should plug it back into your equation to see if it works. That's what I'm going to look for tomorrow, and then we'll discuss further.